So I just got finished reading this book, Graffiti Palace by A.G.Lombardo, and this has been a really great find for me. I just kind of literally I judged a book by its cover. I thought it was so cool, and then the I read the back of the book, and basically the summary is it's the Odyssey, but as told through the 1965 Watts riots, which I feel is a very appropriate given the current ICE raids and violence that's going on in Los Angeles this week. But it was published in like 2019 or 2018, I forget which. But shortly before 2020 and the George Floyd protests and all that. So it seems like it would have been a very timely book by then, but it seems like it's mostly flown under the radar. The main character is Americo Monk, and he is like a semiotician, or he studies semiotics at the local community college, and he keeps this notebook, which ends up being the whole MacGuffin of the story. And the notebook records different pieces of graffiti all around the city during the Watts riots, and it becomes this object of desire for different factions, whether that's the cops or different gangs, or like the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad is featured very prominently. And so that becomes this like big thing that everybody sort of wants to get a hold of Monk, because he's carrying like this valuable sort of piece of folk history. And the book itself is like a piece of folk history too. You might call it, I don't know, this sort of mix of historical fabulism or conspiratorial history. There's this whole great bit about, there's several great bits like this where like you get a sort of a rehashed history of like fortune cookies, and sort of the secret history behind that. You get a weird like history of Tokyo Rose and how she comes to be like um, a local person in this Watts story after being the World War II character that she was. You also get a bit in there about, like, I don't know how actually current this was, because I always associated this with being an 80s thing, but there's like a crack epidemic CIA sort of quasi history going on, where literally he's going like in the underground, in the sewers, to sort of discover this. If you're a fan of like Ishmael Reed or Percival Everett or Paul Beatty, it reminds me a lot of those guys, and I would say probably not a lot of people know about this book, but it was like really enjoyable, really, really, really imaginative and unique, and yeah, I think just more people should probably know about this. Also, I did read the real Odyssey this year recently, and I am going to do a full video on that, so subscribe!